Hey, it's Jason Creel, and today I want to show you a yard that's got tons of weeds. Real problem yard. It's a big yard and it's got multiple grass types. Okay, this thing's got some problems. So I'm going to talk to you about the lawn and talk to you about the plan to fix it. We're going to show you the weeds and I'll hopefully give you a plan and maybe give you some hope if your yard looks terrible or if you're dealing with a customer's lawn who looks terrible, and tell you what I sprayed on the lawn today and what I expect to see happen. So I picked up a couple of big yards lately, and sometimes the big yards are not bad, but sometimes you get a big yard and if it's got a lot of problem weeds, you got to use specialty products on it to get rid of those weeds, and those specialty products can be expensive. So here's the yard, and let me show you what we're looking at here. You do got some Bermuda grass in here, and it may just be a common Bermuda that was never sodded, but I can see Bermuda grass, that kind of blonde looking grass in here. But that's not all that's in the yard, okay? So it's got Bermuda, and as you get to the back of the yard, you're gonna get back here, and there's a good bit of carpet grass, which is essentially a weed. And there may be some centipede grass mixed in there too, but it's not Bermuda. So when I'm basically looking at this yard, and the majority of this area back here is a mixture of centipede and carpet grass, but I know there's plenty of Bermuda in this yard. Now, I gotta think of a few things, okay? So I'm seeing Bermuda back here on the ground. I gotta look at the sunlight situation. So what's my sun gonna be like? It's got a few decent sized trees, but nothing crazy. So I feel like we're still gonna get some sun back here. Bermuda needs full sun. And I know if there's Bermuda in the area, which there is, see it right here, okay? And I'm doing this in late March. So with the Bermuda here, I believe that there's enough Bermuda that's going to spread and fill in this yard. So what do? In my experience, when you've got centipede mixed with Bermuda, oftentimes the centipede ends up creeping into the Bermuda. So I want to beat up this centipede grass and let the Bermuda fill in. Now this may have never been sodded. This hasn't been treated in a long time. It doesn't look like if ever. So this is kind of a new project lawn. So with all these weeds and spraying it late March, there's a few factors to consider. So late March, what does that have to do with anything? Well, it's probable that by now the crabgrass and some of the warm season weeds have already germinated. So what did I put in the tank? Well, I put a few things. And just to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I made hardly any money off this application, but I'm trying to get this guy's yard cleaned up. So I was okay not being super profitable on round one. He seems like a great guy. He's putting his trust in me to be able to work on his lawn. So I did a few things, and you don't have to do exactly this. I'm just telling you what I do on this particular lawn to give you an idea. So one, I put prodiamine in there. So prodiamine is a pre-emergent, and if I could have sprayed prodiamine in January, it would have kept out the crabgrass and things like that. But because I'm late, it still should hopefully help with some of the summer weeds that haven't germinated yet. And it's a relatively inexpensive product. So I put prodiamine in the tank. What I also put in there with it is a product called Q-Ball. Now Q-Ball has the active ingredient quinclorac, which is a post-emergent product that works well on crabgrass. So my idea is if the crabgrass is germinated a couple of weeks ago, which I think it probably did, and a yard like this probably has crabgrass in it because it hasn't been treated in forever, I'm hoping that if the crabgrass hasn't germinated yet, some of it hasn't, the prodiamine will get it. But if it already has germinated, hopefully the quinclorac will get it. Benefit of the quinclorac is it also kills some other weeds. It's very good on wild violets, and I just happen to notice this yard has a lot of wild violets in it, so I think it's going to knock those out. Here's some wild violets right here. They kind of have the heart-shaped leaf and a purple flower, so hopefully the quinclorac is going to do a number on those. I also know that there's some other tough weeds in here, so I put a very cheap product in here that can work on a lot of weeds. I put some manner in there, which is the active ingredient metsulfuron. Very cheap product. I put just 1/4 ounce per acre, but it's going to also help with a lot of these existing weeds, some of these tough weeds that we're dealing with. And then I put triplet in there, which is a 3-way herbicide that can knock out a lot of the broadleaf weeds. So I've got kind of an expensive mix going out onto this particular yard. Is it going to fix all the problems? No. In particular, it may hopefully going to get some of the crabgrass, but this yard has some other troublesome weeds I'm going to show you and talk to you about what I'm planning on doing with those. Okay, so you see this weed here, that's called creeping Charlie or ground ivy. Now I know that Change Up is a great product for that. But I didn't want to make my application even more expensive by adding change up in the mix as well. Now I could have added change up and took out, probably took out the triplet and took out the metsulfuron and just used change up. But the mix was what it was, and it's going to do a lot of good. So when I come back later on another application, I might put change up in here and try to knock out some stuff like the Creeping Charlie. Now, one of the things when you get a lawn like this, you really want to communicate to the homeowner if you're in the business. So I talked to him a couple of times on the phone. I said, hey, listen, your backyard is fixable. I believe that. You've got some tough weeds. I think a lot of it's going to die today. I said, you've got a mixture of grass types, and I've sprayed some products on there that the Bermuda is going to tolerate, but some of your other grasses are not going to tolerate. So I'm not exactly sure how that carpet grass is going to respond. If there's some centipede mixed in there with it, it is a real possibility that it's going to turn yellow from the metsulfuron, from the quinclorac, things like that. So I just tell the customer that ahead of time. Say, I'm purposely doing that. I'm purposely trying to beat back the centipede and the carpet grass because I want the Bermuda to fill in. Now I can come back later on that carpet grass and hit that with Celsius and knock that out as the weather warms up. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that need to happen on this yard, but I'm not necessarily going to do it all at one time. I'm just trying to take it a layer at a time. Now, ideally in a situation like this, let's say next year it's still got a good bit of weeds. This is one of the type of yards where if it's got mostly Bermuda and I'm trying to make it solid Bermuda, where I will go in and spray glyphosate over the whole yard at 32 ounces per acre. And I'll do that in January or so when the grass is totally dormant. And that can get a lot of the grassy weeds, broadleaf weeds. Might not fix every problem, but it can get a lot of them. Well, it's too late by the time the customer called, so it's already in March. So I don't want to do that because you risk damaging your Bermuda grass. And I will say, with any product you use, please wear your PPE and follow the label and use the rates that are recommended on the label. Other weeds you got in here, you got the Carolina geranium or wild geranium, I'm not sure which one. I've got purple dead nettle here, and just having the grass mowed is going to help a lot. I got cudweed. So the products I've used that I've already told you about are going to knock out a whole lot of these broadleaf weeds. Can even help with stuff like wild onions or wild garlic. Again, I'm recognizing these after the grass has been freshly cut, and they don't look quite as noticeable. The other thing I want to talk about with this yard is I would not be surprised at all if there is some Dallas grass in here. Matter of fact, I think I've seen some, but again, it's a little bit hard to see because of all the weed pressure and with the grass just being mowed. And I told the customer, I said, listen, that's a very tough weed to kill. My best opportunity to kill it is in the fall and winter. And so some of the grassy weeds you may have to live with throughout this year. Here's some Dallas grass right here. So you see, he definitely has some Dallas grass. What I did today is not going to do anything for that, and I can work on trying to clean that up over the course of the fall and winter next year. But if I can get rid of the vast majority of these weeds, if I can beat back the carpet grass, beat back the centipede, let the thin Bermuda start filling in as summer approaches, I can come put a high nitrogen fertilizer out on this lawn. The one I've got, I think, is a 3807 or something like that. So I come back and put that out, and it will feed this lawn for months on during the high growing season. So if I've got the weeds mostly cleaned out, I've got the centipede start beating back, and that Bermuda is going to really take off if we get some rain. And then the Bermuda can help choke out the weeds. And as we get into next fall, I can start hammering down on some of the grassy weeds. You even got some cool season grasses that are kind of mixed in here with the warm season grass. Again, if I could have did the glyphosate application in January, that would have been great. There's other products like Tribute Total and Celsius and things like that. Certainty, they'll come in here and knock out a lot of grassy weeds as well. So not necessarily trying to work just a full-out miracle on the lawn today. I'm trying to take it in stages. I think a lot of things are going to happen on round one. I've got a clear plan moving forward. I can use change up to knock out some of the other tough weeds that didn't die today. I told the customer they're probably going to have to live with some of the grassy weeds over the summer. We'll fertilize, get his Bermuda making a whole lot of progress, put our fall pre and post emergent out probably in September. Over the course of the winter, we'll hammer this yard and pound it with stuff to get rid of the tough, really tough grassy weeds. And then next year, we should be way better situation than we already did. And that's just with this customer here. In this particular situation, he just wants me to do 3 treatments on this backyard because it's so large. On his front yard, I'm gonna do 7. So I told him, you know, with 3 treatments, he can make a huge difference. I can't promise perfection, not necessarily looking for perfection this year, but I think we can make a huge improvement to where the customer's satisfied, and then next year I can clean up, make it look even better. Don't feel like you gotta fix everything on the first try. Find 1 or 2 products that can get rid of a lot of your problems. You can start targeting the weeds that don't die from that application. I don't want to blanket spray the whole yard with 12 different products, okay? Hope the video is helpful. I'm Jason Creel. Subscribe to the channel if you hadn't done so. If you want to get in a weed control fertilization business like me, you might consider the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy. There's a lot of resources like that over at lawncarelife.com. We'll see you guys in the next video.